So here we have the water injection system that I sell. The only thing missing in this picture is the wire harness. I already installed the wire harness in the car since I was installing boost lights too. I ran all the wiring at once all together. But it's consisting of our reservoir here, which has our adjustable pressure switch already on it. The wiring is going to plug into that. Then we have the hose with our check valve. This is our check valve. It tells you the direction, but it comes already installed. And then we have the vinyl tubing that's going to go to our air cleaner. That vinyl tubing is going to connect to our nozzle. This is our nozzle that's actually going to attach to the inside of the air cleaner lid. And we'll get into more detail when we drill the hole for it and everything. Right now, this 90-degree fitting is loose in here just until we can get it into the air cleaner. And there's a clamp that I provide, a rubber insulated strap clamp that will attach it to the air cleaner also. And then this is a vacuum tee that I have because we have to put vacuum to this pressure switch right here. So we're going to actually tee off of the vacuum hose that's going to be controlling the boost lights also. But this is the kit, again, minus the wire harness. It does come with the wire harness for it. And we're going to get to installing it. So when we install, how I like to install it is to take the place of the factory windshield washer reservoir. There's a bracket on here. We're going to take that off. We're going to take it off the fender, take off the air cleaner inlet duct, just to make room for right now. One of the things about the 8081 is that the washer fluid and to squirt on the windshield, there's no pump on this reservoir. The pump is actually in the motor. So this is just strictly a reservoir. There's nothing else. It has a hose with a little filter on the end of it. So we can actually still use the water injection as the windshield washer reservoir if we wanted to. Now this will kind of fit on the bottle, the new bottle, but it's a little bit too big. The cap is a little too big. So it kind of fits on there. Some people have added some tape to the neck of the new water bottle to get this to fit a little tighter. You could probably do that. It would probably work well. Or you can look into adding a hose into the lid of the new bottle, maybe drill a hole in the top of it and just push a piece of hose down in there to draw washer fluid out. Why am I saying washer fluid? Well, the washer or the water injection is actually misting plain blue washer fluid into the engine. It's actually going to mist it right above the carburetor in the air cleaner. And washer fluid is actually flammable. It's 70% distilled water and 30% methanol, alcohol. The rest of it's blue dye. You just use the cheapest washer fluid that's out there. Usually it's $1.99 or $2.99 a gallon. Just the blue stuff. You don't want anything that's like a bug and road grime remover. Those have soaps and other things in them, and that's not going to work very well. So I'm going to start taking apart the intake hose and the fender brace and things like that, and we'll get this off. And then I'm actually going to reuse. Let's just take this off now. I'm actually just going to reuse the bracket for the original bottle, and I'm going to drill a hole and use the bracket that's on the new bottle to attach it. And we'll get that all set up on there. I'll show you how it looks when it's all done. All right, so we got the bracket mounted. The bottle bracket, sorry, I'm going to make everybody sick here. The bottle bracket is screwed onto the original washer fluid bracket. Now I've got the gold bolt there is what comes with the kit. I added the second one mainly just to keep it from rotating on a single bolt. With a single bolt I would be able to actually twist that. So this second black bolt here is just a spare bolt I had, just kind of threaded it in there so that it doesn't rotate on the original bolt there. And then it's just put back on. So then what we're going to do is take the bottle and insert the bottle on there, and ignore my too short positive cable. This positive wire going to the alternator is too short, trying to reach to the battery, so we're going to lengthen that too, just to kind of reroute it away from the bottle. But we'll get the bottle installed on here and hook up some wiring and kind of go through some of the other parts of the kit. But Let's get to it. Okay, we got everything wired up, so let's go over how it's all set up in the car. Like we said, we have the reservoir all mounted. Here's the wiring coming up, going to our pressure switch. And we have our hose, which I left a lot of extra hose on there so you can get the air cleaner off and move it to the side, because it is kind of hard to disconnect the hose from the actual nozzle. And here's our nozzle inside the air cleaner. Like I said, we have the rubber strap holding it down. It's fogging in right above the carburetor, and we're good to go. You can tell it's a spring day because the birds are chirping very loudly today. So now this will activate on boost pressure, and like I said, we have a vacuum hose. If you can see it, it's underneath here. Here's the vacuum hose teed in, and it has we're using the check valve for the boost lights, and it's actually coming off of the engine, off of, like we had mentioned earlier in the video, the block that the power enrichment valve screws to. Here we have the nylon hose for our boost gauge. I'll show you that in a second. That's in the dashboard now. There's our other fitting for the vacuum hose, and you can kind of see the check valve there in white. That's going to our boost lights, our boost light switch, and it's also going to our water injection switch. So everything is set up on there. I have it adjusted right now to come on around 8 or 9 psi of boost. It'll start misting in the water into the air cleaner. Now, if you ever want to test the system, there's an easy way to do that. And what you need to do is, we'll turn the key on. So with the key on, we'll come over here to our connector. We'll take this blue connector off. If we pull this off, and if we can touch it to the pin that is bent over, or you could touch it to any other ground. So I'll just bend this up a little bit so I can get in there. But what's going to happen now is when we ground this blue connector, it's going to run the pump. And if you look, let's focus in on that a little bit better. There's our mist. So we know we're misting. Now, what may happen is when you first hook up the system and you try to ground that blue connector, you may not draw any water. It may not pump any water through, because it'll get kind of hung up getting past our check valve down there. If that's the case, all you have to do is you could either, really you should be testing this before you hook up the vinyl tubing to the air cleaner nozzle. What you could do is put a vacuum pump on the end of the hose and draw a vacuum to actually kind of pull some of the fluid past the check valve, while you're also either grounding that, or even just a vacuum pump alone should be able to suck through the hose and up to your nozzle. Once it does it the first time and gets past the check valve, it'll work every time after that. The nozzle is removable, as far as, like, you could take it apart. Actually, you can disassemble it and clean it. I recommend you do that every year, just to make sure, that the washer fluid isn't like clogging it up or crystallizing or anything. It is a brass connection. It's a stainless nozzle. We shouldn't have any corrosion issues. But that's how the water injection system works. So we got to make sure we plug this back in to the original and bend that one back down, because we don't use that one. All right, so let's take a look inside the car, because there's one other feature here. So I'll turn the key off. So we have I have converted the clock to a boost gauge, and let's see if we can get it in there a little closer. If you look way down on the bottom, and I've shown this in other videos too, the original hole for the stem for the clock that would normally set the time, there is now a little tiny blue light in there. That light will come on when the water injection starts pumping. And like I said, you can then watch the boost gauge to see at what boost pressure that light comes on. and you can adjust when the water injection comes on. You can make it come on later, earlier. Like I said, I have it set to come on somewhere around 8 or 9 PSI of boost. Anything above that, it will stay on. Now, there's no indication stating that the bottle is empty, so you got to keep an eye on it. Also, you want to be listening for detonation. So if you're driving the car, that light will come on even if the bottle's empty. And if you're driving the car and you hear it rattle, you hear the detonation when you get into boost, check that reservoir, make sure that it's full. Also, maybe double check with the blue connector again and make sure it is spraying like it should be. Because if you don't spray anything, it's not going to get any cooling effect, and it's not going to, you're going to get into detonation, which is not something you want. So that sums up the installation of water injection on Rocky. If you have any questions, feel free to drop us an email or give us a call. And as always, thanks for watching.